I think looking back, if I could just talk to her about what real love looks like, and not just a mother and child love relationship, but just love between, a healthy love between two people, to show her what really is true in this life. But like, this is where it all stems from when my story started with Haley. I ended up at 16, closer to 17 years old, picking up a drug habit. I was about 20 when I met her dad, and then I got pregnant for Haley. And then shortly after I had Haley, he became extremely abusive to me. It was kind of rough because I was up and down with the drug use, and I was scared because I didn't want to lose her at the same token either. I ended up just getting my life completely together. She started up at school, and then she met this girl and then her older sister, and they started like hanging out very closely, all of them. That following summer, they said they were all gonna go to the fair. Well, then I didn't hear from her, What she thought was a party that they were going to ended up being a hotel room with 3 other men. So. She's told me, Mom, I don't want to do these things, and it's just like he just finds me, and it's like I'm forced into all this stuff, and the same one that she's been with now for 5 years. With everything that's happened to me in my life story, I just felt like I didn't want them things to happen to her. So I wanted to protect her from anybody trying to come in and damage her. And that's why I say I feel like I failed her, because that was the part I was trying so hard to keep from happening to her. Kylie has worked with Haley a lot, like throughout the years, and they have a pretty good relationship. She's been like our hero throughout this whole time. She's been there whenever we needed her. The VAC and Child Advocacy Center, they've just opened up their doors like they're like our second home if we've ever needed them for anything.
You just want to save all of them, but they really need to save themselves. They have to want it, they have to participate in it, and we need to empower them that they are meant for more than that. They're not put on this earth to be trafficked. We want them to know that they can trust us, that they can get the services they need from us, that we're not going to lock them up and throw away the key, so that if they do run, they can stay safe while they're out there, make contact with us in the meantime to say, hey, I'm okay, every few days. And then maybe when they're ready, they come back to us and they get out of that situation. The biggest frustration for somebody that works with human trafficking and is trying to work with the public to recognize it is that it's become super sensationalized. And what grabs people's attention is some strange man stalking people in Target. And I'm not saying that those things never happen, but they are so infrequent that no one is paying attention to the average Joe sitting right next to you. They're putting themselves at risk, and it's kind of negating all the work that we're doing to educate the public. The entire world is under pressure, and so kids are inevitably going to be under that weight of the world.
When we first all went home in March, we feared that if these kids aren't going to school, they're not seeing mandated reporters, like they're going to fall through the cracks. And maybe some have, but what we've seen is that a lot of people are calling in reports. They are speaking up. So from the time that we receive the report and we schedule that first meeting for the family to come here, we have an advocate call the family. They explain where we are, what the appointment is going to be like. When they then show up for the appointment, we have that same advocate meet them up front, introduce themselves, and kind of guide them through the process from there. Once they get here and they're settled, and after the team has met, the team is the law enforcement and the caseworker and the advocate, then we have the parent go in with the team to talk to them about what the allegations are, what the process is going to be like today. And the interviewer will go out and introduce themselves to the child and take them to the interview room. And during that time, the advocate sits with the rest of the family and the parents to explain how the criminal justice process works. And then once it gets closer to court, the DA's office typically brings them in here to start preparing them. So even if it takes 2 to 3 years, we're still contacting them every month to say, how are you doing? What do you need? This is where we're at. This is what we're waiting on. Most families we work with, they've never experienced anything like this before. A lot of families don't even know the Child Advocacy Center exists until they need it. So it really is like trying to take little baby steps to walk them through and answer any question they have.
We call this the CAMO, the Child Advocacy Mobile Office. The state decided that they wanted to roll out this RV program for rural communities, for people who didn't have transportation to get to a CAC. We will dispatch the CAMO with an advocate and a forensic interviewer. We try to find a safe, neutral location in which maybe they can just walk to where we're located at. And then we go and meet the team on scene. So we'll meet CPS and law enforcement, and then the family can just come to the CAMO and we'll interview the kids there. I guess before, when I was in law enforcement, the CAC wasn't really as big in the community as it is now. We do provide trainings to schools about mandatory reporting, about what information you should gain from a child before you call in a child abuse report, just the facts that you should get, and those facts are very minimal. If you think something is going on, if a child tells you something, it doesn't hurt to make the phone call to the hotline. To just be willing to make that call.
Things that can make children vulnerable are they come from an abuse or neglect background. They may not feel love or support from their family. LGBTQ youth are particularly susceptible. So I think that's where we can focus our attention, is who are these high-risk youth and how can we help them before they get to a level where they're being trafficked.
I feel that the community needs to get involved. They need to get training. They need to get the facts. Where a community is not involved and it's sleeping is where these traffickers prey on the most.
So it's our educators that have their eyes open and that are pressured to do everything. And it's not fair and it's not realistic, but they still do it. And they're still contacting us and they still ask for training, and they do it because they care.
My son is 12, almost 13. He knows more about this than most adults. You're their first teacher. And if he doesn't learn from me, he's going to learn from the world. I've done things out of choice that I probably could have gotten arrested for. But you know what? I don't care. When your kid's in the other side of the door and you know things are going on, you're going to do what you're going to do to protect your children. Even if it wasn't my daughter and it was another girl this was happening to, I would do the same thing. I would do the same thing. And if I had a big house, I would take them all in. It's going to take a lot of healing. But boy, when she gets past all that, she's going to be, I already know, just... she's going to be a go-getter on this.